engineering. And after lunch, there will be 2 sessions about construction mathematics. I'm going to invite Professor Dr. Talat as the session chair.
Good morning, my colleagues. I am opening the 4th session of our conference. In this session, there will be one keynote speaker and 4 paper presentations. The keynote speaker is one of my dearest friend, Professor Dr. Talat Birgönül from Middle East Technical University. Actually, you can see his short CV on the screen, so probably I will not read it here, but he is one of the leading professors, especially in construction management among Turkish universities. I have known him since 40-something years, 45 years. We have very good collaboration in many conferences, in many studies, and as you can see his CV there, he has some 43 years of experience in education. I would like to introduce him to you, Professor Talat Birgönül. The floor is yours.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, dear chairman. Thank you very much for joining my presentation at this early hour of the day. And I am very much pleased to be a part of this meeting and honored in addressing this very selective audience. Also, I would like to thank to Cyprus Chamber of Civil Engineers inviting me and personally to Gürkan Başkan, Tahir Hoca, Ayşe Hoca, Abdullah Hoca, Kale, Kızıldere, and Enver Toker for the support and hospitality that they have shown to me during the Congress. My speech will be a little bit different than those of the traditional speeches that you used to listen. Within this context, I try to prepare a presentation as entertaining as possible. For the senior colleagues, it will be a nostalgic journey at which they will refresh their memories, and for the more younger and junior colleagues, it will be a timeline journey, learning how construction management topics have evolved within the last 4 decades. Now, let's get started. As you can see, the division that I belong to is construction management, and naturally, I am going to talk about construction management. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you happen to read this, it is composed of 2 words. One of them is construction, which is purely technical, scientific, and the other one is rather different to us, which is management. So if you combine these 2 words, what we come to a conclusion is that management is a combination of art and science. Okay, this is for sure, and this is being reported in the literature. So if you combine this construction management together and build it together, the definition becomes as it is an interdisciplinary science which exists at the intersection point of two applied sciences, namely construction and management. Maybe this picture, which is the picture of an ostrich, deve in Turkish, could explain the status of construction management, because it is a bird, it belongs to the family of birds, it has got wings, but it cannot fly, and it can run as quickly and as speed as 50-60 kilometers per hour. So construction management is something in between at the interface of two things, and sometimes our dear colleagues address construction management discipline as soft science. When I was a little bit or more younger, I was a little bit worried and irritated from this nomenclature. But now I am proud to be a soft science, and we are trying to be twice as soft as possible in this construction management discipline. Now, if we go a little bit further, you see construction management is a professional service that provides project owners with effective management of project schedule, cost, quality, safety, scope, and function. Within this context, in my presentation, I am going to focus on time, cost, and quality aspects within the forthcoming slides. Now, this is the very famous triangle. This triangle is known as project management triangle, or sometimes in the literature, triple constraint, and in Turkish it is being translated as üçlü sacaya, while defining the project management practices. In one vertex of the triangle, here comes the time. In my opinion, time is the most important aspect within this construction planning process, because once it is being consumed, it cannot be recovered. A contractor can earn more money, but a contractor cannot earn more time. So every project has a starting date, finishing date, and duration, and you have to complete the job within the predetermined time, on time. And if you, what will happen if you cannot finish it on time? Then you have to pay daily penalties. And even if you cannot finish the job at the time extension, then most probably the contract will be terminated, your guarantee letters will be cashed, and you will be banned from public procurements for 1 or 2 years. And most probably there will be legal lawsuits that will come to you, your company. The second one is the cost. You have to complete the job on time, and also you have to complete the project at the desired quality level. But these are the three classical approaches. Nowadays, there are some additional factors which have been added to this triangle. One of them is health and safety measures. You have to finish the job on time, within budget, and at the desired quality. But if you have 5 injuries, this is not acceptable. Our target is 0 death rates and 0 injury rates. Also, if you finish the job on time, within budget, at the desired level, with no health and safety problems, but if you have 5 or 10 legal disputes with the subcontractors or with the client, also this is something undesirable. And there is also one very, very famous work that has entered into our agenda, which is sustainability. You have to respect to the environment, you have to minimize the waste, you have to apply the governing rules in order to ensure green and safety structures. Now, I am going to take you today we are going to start with the evolution of time management subjects, and I am going to take you a detailed till to the starting years of 1910s. This is Mr. Henry Lawrence Gant. He's from the States. He's a mechanical engineer and a management consultant. And his main contribution into the field of management is the development of this bar chart, or as a tribute to his name, Gantt charts. What is happening is that you see in one axis we have the time scale, and on the vertical scale the subjects that are under the investigation. And you see it is very clear the development or the progress of the job could be understood. It is easy to draw. You don't need any drafting experience. Easy to understand even for the ordinary workers. If you hang it at the entrance point of the company, even the ordinary worker will understand what is going to be done within the next coming days. Shows the passing of time, and you could compare with what is done and what will be done in the future. There is continuity, and a break in the records is immediately seen, and it is compact. You can take it to home, put it into your pocket. You can print it in an A4 size paper, but, ladies and gentlemen, there is one great disadvantage. There is one great shortcoming associated with this bar charts, which is it is static, it is not dynamic, and it doesn't show the interrelationship of activities between each other. In other words, if the foundation job is being delayed 2 days, what will be the effect of this 2 delay on the 4th floor construction cannot be seen on this bar charts. So as a result of this very big shortcoming, it is being criticized bitterly, and in the United States during the years 1956 and 57, the critical method has been developed as a reaction to the static nature of this Gantt charts. It was developed by Kelly and Walker in an attempt to reduce the cost associated with the shutdown and operation restarts due to inefficient schedule. Now, at this part of the lecture, I want to introduce one gentleman. This is Professor Dr. David Arditi, a professor of myself and also a very close friend of Tahir. And he is a graduate of Middle East Technical University. Upon his graduation, he has gone to Loughborough University and conducted his PhD. His PhD was on CPM application. And immediately after completing his PhD, he has returned to Middle East Technical University and started as a full-time professor. And I was those very lucky students who found the opportunity of taking this construction planning course from him immediately after his return to Turkey. So his contribution to this field is very important, and we have learned how to conduct CPM analysis, and we have given lots of consultancy services to the companies, and we have taught this topic to thousands of students. So this is the person who has brought the CPM approach to Turkey, and then afterwards it has been spread all over Turkey. Also, ladies and gentlemen, there is one more time management technique, which is known as program evaluation and review technique. Again, it has been simultaneously developed together with the CPM, but they are not aware of each other. This has been developed in the year 1958 by the US Navy in the planning and scheduling of Polaris nuclear missile. It could be fired either from the submarine or from the land. And in the construction or in the building of this missile, there exists 3,008 contractors and more than 6 activities. The only difference between CPM and PET is that CPM is the deterministic approach, PET is the probabilistic approach. In other words, in the PET, we have 3 time estimates, as you see, the optimistic time, the most likely time, and the pessimistic time. And the formulation is this in order to find the expected mean time. Well, in the construction industry, we never use this tag, but as for the sake of completeness, I am lecturing this subject also to my students. This is more popular for the industrial engineers, for the mechanical engineers. And now I will pass to quality management topic, which is one important aspect of the project management. Now, these are the definitions regarding to quality. These are the rules of the quality subject, which is cross, limit, Juran, and Görna. These are the definitions for quality. But when we pass from these general definitions to the construction sector, it is understood as the ability to meet the requirements contracted with the clients. In other words, if you sign a contract in order to construct a 3-star hotel, then you have to construct according to this 3-star quality levels. You do not either increase or decrease it. Now, if we further continue with this quality management aspects, this is the development of the subject in the Western organizations, and finally in the year 1992, the British standards 7,850 for total quality management is published. So this is the popular topic within the 1980s and 90s. Now, when we again return back to the construction industry, great expenditures of time, money, and resources are wasted due to insufficient or non-existent quality levels in the construction industry. And at this part of the presentation, I would like to introduce the quality cost breakdown, which is known in the literature as path approach. What do we mean is that the quality control cost, which is the curve that you see on the right hand side of the screen, it starts with 100% defects and goes to the 0 defects. You see at the 100% defect, the cost is minimum, and as the defects decreases, and I can't see it. Never mind. The quality control cost is the summation of prevention cost and appraisal cost. Prevention cost is translated into Turkish as the design reviews, education, training, and supplier selection process improvement. And appraisal cost could be translated into Turkish as değerlendirme maliyetleri, which is associated with the measuring, evaluating, and inspection costs. And failure cost is composed of internal failure costs and external failure costs. Internal failure costs are the associated costs until to the time that the product is being delivered to the customer, and external failure costs are the costs that occur after the delivery of the product to the customer. Now, the external failure costs could be somehow very dramatic, because under normal circumstances, if you buy a TV, the guarantee period is something like 2 years. In the case of houses and summer houses, the guarantee period is 5 years. But if the defect is hidden and occurred by cheating or gross negligence, then the guarantee period continues till to the eternity. There is no guarantee period. The contractor is responsible till to the end of its life. Okay, so external failure costs are very important and should be avoided somehow. So if you sum them up, the total cost of quality is equal to the quality control costs and failure costs. This is the graph that is being developed for the manufacturing industry. We have used this approach, which is the path approach, into the construction industry, and come to the conclusion that this approach could also be applicable for the construction industry. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will come to other topic which I believe very, very important. It is famous and it is becoming more and more famous. It is a very hot topic, it is a very trendy topic, which is known as claim management. The Turkish for claim management is hukuksal hak talepleri, to be translated into Turkish as hukuksal hak talepleri. And you see the definition, which is a collective term for the advice and services provided in respect of claims for the compensation, reiteration, or any other remedy for financial loss or breach of contractual obligations. Now, ladies and gentlemen, 5 or 10 years ago, I met a British lawyer, and while we are talking, I have asked him, what are the most important contributions of this British people to our community, to the world? And he has said that we have invented the football, and also he said that we have invented the claim management. Maybe if you ask it today, maybe democratic monarchy after the death of Queen Elizabeth II could be the third option. Okay, but British people are very proud that they have invented the football and they have invented the claim management. So British lawyers are very, very powerful, especially in this claim management process. Now, as a civil engineer, we are among civil engineers. What can you do in this claim management process? As that in the courts, you can serve as expert witness. If you are over the age of 25 and having a professional experience of 3 years, everybody in this salon would serve to the courts as expert witness. In arbitration process, other than the cases being held in arbitration tribunals, you can be an expert. You can, this is becoming more or less very familiar, dispute education board member, uyuşmazlık çözüm kurulu üyeliği. This is, I have acted as dispute education board member in Ümraniye Maternity Hospital, in Kartal Oncology Hospital, in Göztepe and Ok Meydanı Hospital, and Haydarpaşa Vocational High School projects. The decision of the dispute education board is binding, but it is not final. If you are unhappy with the decision of the dispute education board, within 28 days, you can issue a letter of dissatisfaction. So after memnuniyetsizlik belgesi, after the issuance of this letter, you can go to the arbitral tribunal. But the decision has to be obeyed and the construction has to continue. This is the principal idea in dispute education membership process. The job has to continue, or you can act as arbiter, a judge in the arbitration, or also you can serve as a consultant. So if you have a look to this profile, as civil engineers, we can work in some of the positions that has been advertised in here. Now, the frequently observed dispute headings could be listed in the claim management as delay analysis, delay, disruption, and quantum, which I am going to talk in the forthcoming slide. There are change orders, so in the existence of change orders, what should be done? Termination of the contract is very, very popular. You have to come to a conclusion whether it is a rightful or unjust termination. And if it is an unjust termination, then you have to calculate the loss of profit. If you are in a position to derive new unit price formation, there is always a dispute between the client and the contractor, and the contents of the unit price are always a disputed item. Now, also final account computations, kesin hesap çıkarılması is always in the agenda of the Turkish courts. Now, at this part of the lecture, I am going to pass to a new chapter, which is delay, disruption, and quantum. In London, if you walk into any law office, okay, you might come across with two types of experts. One type of experts, one category experts they are the experts for delay and disruption, and the other part of the experts is quantum. And I am very proud that majority of our students are serving in this law offices in London, in British, in Singapore, in Qatar, Abu Dhabi, and elsewhere. So these topics are relatively familiar and suitable for the Turkish way of thinking. Now, what do we mean by saying delays? It is concerned with time, and if a delay is concerned, you have to make an analysis. How you are going to make the analysis? You are going to make the analysis by using the CPM method that I have taught in the first slides. Okay, CPM method is being used for the delay analysis. Now, disruption is something very fuzzy, and it is concerned with the disturbance, hindrance, or interruption per contractor's normal work, which results in lower productivity or efficiency. And disruption and delay are the two terms which are being used within the same breath. This is quite understandable because the causes of this delay and disruption could originate from the same event, but they are not the same thing. There is an analogy similar to the egg and chicken analogy, but the disruption could turn into a delay, and delay could cause a disruption. But the main difference between delay and disruption is that in order to avoid an extension of time from the delay, it has to be on the critical part. If it is not on the critical part, and if it is not affecting the final termination completion date of the project, we do not consider as delay. And on the other way, disruption could take any place, even on the non-critical part, and it causes, under these circumstances, the financial loss of the contractor should be paid, even if it is occurring at a non-critical activity. And the third one is quantum. Quantum is the computation of monetary amounts awarded by the court in the which is to be paid to a successful party in a claim. So delay, disruption, and quantum are the most disputable amounts, and we have to work on this because it is coming through the agenda of every day, especially in international arbitration. These are the hot topics. Now, at this part of the claim management, I will pass to float. Float is called in Turkish bolluk. And how do we obtain this float is that from the CPM analysis. Float is the flexibility of that activity which could be delayed. In other words, if the float is 28 days, then this means that that activity could be delayed 28 days without affecting the final termination of the project. And if the float is 0 days, then this means that this is a critical activity. That's to mean that there is no flexibility at all. The earliest start and earliest finish dates coincide with each other. Latest start and latest finish times coincide with each other. It is something very dangerous. The contract management processes, the project management manager should express special attention to this critical activities. Critical part is the longest part in a project, having the shortest duration, and within this context, in a project there should be at least one critical part. There could be 2 critical parts, there could be 5 critical parts, and even all the activities in a project would be critical if their floats are 0. Now, this is something very debatable, so I want to share my experience because there are lots of discussion going on about the float ownership. Okay, who owns the float? Bolluk kime ait? Okay, there are two schools of thinking about this. Here, the contractor says that we have prepared the work program, we have determined the method of construction, we have allocated the budget, we have organized the cash flow. So, in the case of a float, this float belongs to us. Whereas the employer says 1 minute. We are the boss, we are paying the money, and at the end of the project will belong to us. So we do have the right to consume float. And after years of discussion, this is the final conclusion related to float ownership. According to Society of Construction Law, which is a British non-profit organization, it is being determined, or it is being advised that float is not the exclusive user benefit to either of the employer or contractor. It doesn't belong to the contractor, it doesn't belong to the employer. It is a common commodity which belongs to the project, and the float could be used even by the contractor or employer on a first come, first basis. Okay, but if the float is 28 days, say, and if the employer has been delayed 14 days, then the contractor cannot be granted an extension of time. Whereas if the float is 28 days, but the employer has delayed 30 days, then this time the contractor has the right for a 2-day extension of time. Now, this is the second debatable topic, which is concurrent delays. Delays are not always occurring by the employer or by the contractor, but delays could occur concurrently, both at the same time, simultaneously, by the employer and contractor. And what will happen in the case that we have a concurrent delay? You see, this is some example for the concurrent delay. One example is true concurrency. This is a very narrow definition of true concurrency. You see, it is very seldom occurs, but this is the critical part. On the critical part, the employer started to delay, and immediately at the same time, the contractor started to delay the job. If it is on the critical part and if it is being triggered by the employer, under this scenario, the contractor should be given an extension of time, because the employer is the responsible body and he is the body who has started the delay at the first instance. The contractor has been inspired, the contractor has been affected by this delay. Whereas this is more or less more important. This is an example for the concurrent delay. And you see, in this time, the contractor started a delay on the 21st of January, and it is continuing, while the delay is still valid, or starting on the 1st of February, and in between the dates to the 14th of February, the employer at the same time started to delay. So under this scenario, the contractor will be given a time extension by reducing the employer's delaying time? No, under this scenario, since the contractor has already started the delay, the employer's delay has no effect on the contractor's delay. Under this scenario, the contractor will not be given any time extension due to the period between the 1st of February and 14th of February due to the default of the employer. This is the case for concurrent delays, and I think in today's presentation, these two topics, which is the ownership of float and concurrent delays, are the most important items that you have to keep in your mind, because these are very debatable subjects, and it has been written nowhere. The knowledge regarding to this is something kept hidden So please make a note. Now, what are the observations and recommendations regarding to this claim management and time management sector? Is that we have an industry culture. You know, civil engineers and contractors have a culture, and there is a, what I have seen is that there is a reluctance to planning and frequent updating. The planning is being done just for the sake of a contractual obligation, and it is not being updated. And the project manager generally prints these handouts or outputs and put it as a wallpaper under at the back side of his room. It is used for decorative purposes and never been updated. Whereas in the societal construction law, it is been said that it should be updated within every month. Whereas I agree to do this job within every 3 months. 3 months is also could be acceptable. Also in the time management, we have the vacancy approach. This approach is strongly discouraged. It should be strongly discouraged, and immediately at the occurrence of this delay, the necessary steps should be taken. We have in the sector a very rapid staff turnover. An engineer works 3 months and then he resigns and goes to or transfers to another company and then to the other company. And while going there, he takes the laptop or he erases some very useful information. Since the construction companies do not have organizational memories, there is a loss in the information being gathered, and this is a final drawback, especially in claim management practices. There is a lack of communication between parties. The lawyers, engineers, the consultants do not understand the situation exactly, and they could have some fluctuating documents. In Turkey, what we have seen is that Turkish contractors have a very poor record regarding poor documentation and collecting lack of sufficient data. When the things are going properly, they never document it. They obey to the verbal conversation rather than the written conversation, and which becomes a very important drawback, especially in case of law management. And this is just a reputation, what I say, there is a very poor record in quality achievement. Now, I have 5 minutes, so let me talk about some potential research teams. We cannot think of a construction industry independent of global problems. So the construction industry has to live on solution-oriented and high-impact research topics. Within this context, I am going to talk about Sustainable Development Goals. In the year 2015, at the General Assembly of United Nations, this Sustainable Development Goals has been signed. 195 countries have signed this Sustainable Development Goals. There exist 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and the countries that have signed this protocol has agreed that till the year 2030, they will achieve these standards. Among these 17 Sustainable Development Goals, I believe this 3 is related to the construction industry, and it would be a further research topic, especially for the young generations, for the master and PhD students having difficulty in finding thesis topics. One of them is clean water and sanitation. The other thing is affordable and clean energy, and the other one is sustainable cities and communities. These are, I have selected among the 7 sustainable development goals. Now, digitalization is a concept that is affecting every industry, and as construction industry, we are taking our share. It is an enabler for a more efficient and sustainable construction industry, such as digital twins, virtual reality, augmented reality, robotics, information technologies. It is not slowly, but it is very rapidly entering into our agenda. And please, especially for the young generation, please note this word, resilience and resilience, resilient and resilience, dirençlilik. This is also entering our agenda. This is a critical success factor, for extreme events such as pandemics, disasters, and risks. We have earthquakes, we have landslides, we have wildfires, we have floods. So the construction industry should be prepared for in a resilient manner to these risks. And ladies and gentlemen, this is one concept which I believe is very important, globalization. It is a synthetic word, right? The glo comes from the global and cal comes from the local, so altogether it is localization. What does this mean is that your company is to be a global company while paying attention to the local laws, regulations, customs that is inherent in the country that you are operating. So you are going to be a global company, but you should be taking advice from your local partners. This is known as globalization. Ladies and gentlemen, this off-site and modular construction, in my opinion, is very, very important, and it is not an investment decision or proposal, but it is going to be very popular within the next coming years. Public-private partnership, BOTs, are very, very important. Lean and green type of approaches are very important. The beam building information modeling, in my opinion, is a very hot topic, and again, in my opinion, it will shape the curriculums of the not only civil engineering departments, but the mechanical and engineering departments, and most probably within the next forthcoming years, there will be a mass course for the beam. Beam is something very spiritual. It is being created by the Toyota company. It is being based on respect and Kaizen in Japanese. Kaizen means continuous improvement. The aim is to minimize the cost and to maximize the value. Within this context, all non-value added processes are being discarded from the operation, and waste minimization should be encouraged. And when they say waste, it is not only the material scrap, but it is time, it is rework, it is the cost that is being paid to the storage areas. Just in time installation should be encouraged, so on. Green is self-explanatory, which is being in the hot topics for the next years. Now, I have gone out of time, but there is a very huge discussion about the name of this division. We first start with yapı stratejisi in construction strategy in Madrid during the years 1980. This is the name given by Dr. David Arditi, but this is a very narrow definition, so we abandon it because it doesn't accommodate all the aspects of the construction management practices. Later, this yapı işletmesi is being used by İTÜ Civil Engineering Department, Yıldız Teknik Üniversitesi, Akdeniz University, Ege University, and Higher Education Board, which I believe is a very wrong name because it is being translated in a very defaulted manner. Yapı yönetimi is something very miserable. It's being used by Eskişehir Teknik Üniversitesi and Beykoz Üniversitesi. Whereas yapım yönetimi is the correct word, which is being used by METU, Boğaziçi Üniversitesi, the Scientific Research Council of Turkey, Karadeniz Teknik Üniversitesi, Bilgi Üniversitesi, and İTÜ Faculty of Architecture. This is the conclusion. İTÜ Civil Engineering Department uses yapı işletmesi, whereas İTÜ Mimarlık Fakültesi uses yapım yönetimi. So this is a debate among the parties. And in my opinion, the correct name should be yapım mühendisliği ve yönetimi, construction engineering and management. Now, I am coming to the last two slides. At this part of the presentation, I would like to introduce you gentleman, Mr. Ekrem Yeşilada. As you can understand, as you can expect from the surname, he is born in Nicosia. He is graduated, he is one of the very early graduates of Istanbul Technical University. And during the years 1984 and 87, he has acted as a full-time member, even a chairman in Eastern Mediterranean University. And also within these years, he has acted as a part-time lecturer in Method. Now, upon his research and upon conducting his research in UCL, he has returned back to Turkey to the General Directorate of Highways, and he has prepared the general price analysis. And while preparing this general price analysis, he has made a translation, and while translating ship's good roller, he said to me that due to his poor Turkish, he has translated ship's good roller as teçhaya. He couldn't understand the difference between sheep and goat, so he has named the ship's good roller as teçhaya. This is something by mistake, but the construction industry is happy, and although the translation is wrong, we are still continuing teçhaya in the Turkish, and I would like to bring this anecdote as a tribute to Mr. Ekrem Yeşilada. And this will be the last slide. I am running out of time. I am delayed 3 minutes. This is the concrete board that happens, that exists at the parking garage, parking lot of Middle East Technical University Civil Engineering Department. This has been built in the year 1976 by the inspiration from Swedish sportsmen, Swedish fishermen, and it is made from ferro cement, and in between there is a wire mesh. It has never been tested, but it's a good anecdote to bring to the attention of, we are not only dealing with management aspects, but we are also dealing with the construction engineering part. It has become a legend, it has become a landmark, just like Eiffel Tower. It is one of the landmarks of our university. So next time, if you happen to visit me in Middle East Technical University, you have to say to the taxi driver, beni beton kayıya götür, and that will be the sufficient thing in order to reach me. I will be welcoming you right at there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that completes my presentation for today. In case that you have questions, I can answer them right now, or I will be available during the coffee break or lunch, or after departure from Turkey. Also, you can contact me via email. We are open to any kind of collaboration and discussion among the parties. Thank you very much for your attendance.
Thank you very much for Professor Dr. Talat Birgönül, quite illustrative presentation.
That means we have no question then.
If there is any question, you can ask it now, or
I will be available at coffee. Yeah, the coffee or lunch also.
We have a question answer sessions for presentations after. You can ask that time as well.
Okay.
Thanks.
Ana konuşmacımız olan Profesör Doktor Talat Birgönül kendisini vermek üzere Kıbrıs Mühendis ve Mimar Odaları Birliği onun kurulu başkanı Sayın Serhan Aksalı sahneye davet ediyorum.
Kısmet sanaymış.